What if I told you there's a temple in China that clings to a vertical cliff so precariously that it looks like a single strong gust of wind could send it tumbling into the valley below? How has it survived more than 1,000 years of earthquakes, storms, and dynastic upheavals? And what secrets lie inside this incredibly delicate structure that appears to defy gravity itself? Welcome to the Hanging Temple of China, Xuankong Temple, a monumental architectural mystery suspended between earth and sky. Perched nearly 80 meters above the ground, tucked beneath an enormous rock overhang on Mount Heng, the temple seems more like a fantasy illustration than a place built by human hands. 1. A temple built where no one dared to build. The Hanging Temple stands in a location no sane builder would normally choose, the middle of a sheer cliff face. Ancient monks sought isolation, peace, and protection, and the cliffs of Mount Heng offered all three. By building high above the valley floor, the monks removed themselves from worldly concerns, enemies, and natural disasters like floods that frequently ravaged the region below. The towering overhang above the temple shelters it from rain, snow, and sunlight, creating a natural shield that has preserved the structure far better than any ground-level building of the same age. This placement also held spiritual significance. High places were believed to be closer to the heavens, making the temple a physical bridge between earth and the spiritual world. By choosing such an inaccessible, dangerous location, the builders were making a statement. Their devotion went beyond comfort, convenience, or fear. 2. A 1,000-year-old engineering puzzle. The moment you see the temple, your mind immediately asks the same question everyone else asks. How is this thing still standing? The answer lies in a brilliant piece of ancient engineering that blends human craftsmanship with the natural strength of the mountain itself. The structure is anchored deep into the rock using long horizontal beams inserted into carved holes. These wooden beams act like hardened bolts that grip the cliff from the inside. What surprises many visitors is that the thin-looking stilts visible from below are not the primary supports. They stabilize the structure but carry surprisingly little weight. The true strength of the temple comes from the cliff. Its beams wedged so tightly into the mountain that the temple is essentially hanging from the rock itself. Add to this the protection of the enormous overhang above, which shields the wood from centuries of harsh weather, and you have a genius design that has endured for more than 1,000 years. Without this natural roof, the temple would have rotted and collapsed long ago. 3. Built during a forgotten dynasty. The origins of the Hanging Temple go back to the Northern Wei dynasty. Records say that a monk named Liao Ran initiated the construction, though the scale of the project suggests he likely had help over time. Picture the scene: monks suspended on ropes, chiseling into the cliff with hammers and iron tools while dangling over a deadly drop. They carved support holes into the stone by hand, inserted beams, then constructed platforms, halls, and walkways piece by piece. The process required incredible bravery. This was not a flat construction site. It was a vertical world where every step meant balancing between life and death. Over the centuries, dynasties such as Tang, Liao, Jin, Yuan, Ming, and Qing expanded and restored the temple, each era adding new halls or reinforcing old ones. This continuous care across many generations explains why the temple still stands today, despite its delicate position. It is truly a structure built by time, not just one generation, but many. 4. The only temple where three religions coexist. One of the most extraordinary aspects of the Hanging Temple is its spiritual identity. It is the only known temple where Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism are all represented under the same roof. In its halls, more than 40 statues crafted from stone, iron, clay, and bronze stand side by side, representing a rare unity of philosophical thought. You'll see Buddha seated peacefully next to Laozi, while Confucius, known more for philosophy than worship, stands with equal significance. This blending of belief systems was not accidental. It reflected the cultural aspiration for harmony among the major schools of thought in ancient China. Inside the temple's narrow chambers, the presence of these three traditions creates an atmosphere unlike any other religious site in the world. The message carved into the stone of Mount Heng is clear. Wisdom has many sources, and true understanding comes from balance, not division. 5. Walking through the temple, a journey of nerves and wonder. Entering the Hanging Temple is an experience that leaves even seasoned travelers breathless. The walkways are narrow, the staircase is steep, and the wooden platforms creak gently with every step. On one side, the cliff face rises like a wall of ancient stone. On the other, there's nothing but open air, and a drop so deep your stomach tightens the moment you look down. The corridors twist along the cliff, some barely wide enough for 2 people to pass. The wind whistles between beams and pillars, making the entire structure hum faintly. Inside the halls, the atmosphere shifts. Suddenly, the outside world disappears. The chambers are small but richly adorned with carvings, statues, and intricate detailing. Many of the surfaces are worn by time, yet their beauty remains. Every statue seems to watch you silently. Every wooden beam feels like a relic from another era. The temple doesn't just tell history, it makes you feel it. 6. Why the temple was built so high above the ground. Aside from spiritual symbolism, there were very practical reasons for placing the temple high on the cliff. The river below frequently flooded in ancient times, and any structure built near ground level was at risk of destruction. Elevating the temple removed this threat entirely. Additionally, the cliff's orientation shields the temple from direct sunlight for most of the day. This reduces thermal expansion and contraction in the wood, which is a major cause of structural weakening over time. In other words, the monks devised a design that naturally preserved itself for centuries. The Hanging Temple's endurance is not just a miracle, it's a clever fusion of spirituality and environmental engineering long before such concepts were formally studied. 7. An acoustic marvel carved into the mountain. One of the lesser known yet fascinating features of the Hanging Temple is its acoustics. The placement of halls and statues creates natural echo patterns that amplify chanting and ceremonial sounds. The stone reflects and softens voices in a way that feels almost dreamlike. Ancient monks discovered that positioning statues in specific orientations enhanced the resonance of prayers, producing a deep, calming atmosphere ideal for meditation. Visitors often describe the soundscape as eerily quiet, yet strangely alive, like the mountain itself is participating in the ritual. This acoustic harmony was not created with modern science, but through centuries of observation and spiritual practice. 8. Why the temple is still standing today. For a structure perched on a cliff for more than a millennium, the Hanging Temple has faced numerous threats: earthquakes, erosion, storms, and the wear of time. Yet it continues to stand thanks to the brilliance of its construction and the continuous care it receives. Its wooden beams allow a slight flexibility that helps it survive seismic activity. Unlike rigid stone buildings that collapse easily, the overhanging cliff protects it from weather damage. Preservation teams regularly inspect the structure and reinforce vulnerable beams using techniques that honor the original construction methods. Visitor numbers are managed carefully to avoid stressing the fragile walkways. This balance of tradition and preservation keeps the temple alive, as breathtaking today as it was 1,000 years ago. 9. A structure that defies everything we know about ancient building. Most ancient buildings were constructed on stable ground with predictable foundations. The Hanging Temple breaks every rule. It hangs rather than stands. It relies on nature instead of resisting it. It merges 3 religions instead of honoring one. It is isolated yet deeply connected to cultural history, and it has endured not by chance but because of brilliant, forward-thinking engineering. The temple is both a contradiction and a masterpiece, a reminder of how far human imagination can reach when guided by devotion, persistence, and courage. It stands as one of the world's greatest architectural wonders, not because of its size or lavish design, but because it accomplishes the impossible with elegance and humility. Now that you've explored a sanctuary suspended between heaven and earth, defying gravity, blending 3 religions, and surviving more than 1,000 years, the real question is, what do you think? Is the Hanging Temple a miracle of engineering, a spiritual masterpiece, or both? If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the world's most astonishing structures, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a journey into ancient mysteries and unbelievable wonders. And tell us in the comments, which legendary place should we uncover next?